Welcome to Ignite Open Houses. We're going to be going through the process from start to finish on how to find, hold, and follow up following an open house. So we have our things that successful agents do every day. So when we're talking about open houses, we are talking about growing a business. So you're lead generating for buyers and sellers. It is one of the best ways to continue to add to your database. We talk a lot as new agents about ensuring that you have all of your friends, family, people that know, like, and trust you in your database. That can't be the end of it. You have to continually be adding people into your database. It should be a living, breathing thing for you. So this is a great way for you to be able to continue to generate and add people in so that your database is a fluid thing for you. So this is kind of our pathway of what we're going to be going through today. We'll be talking about the prospecting model, going through some best practices, and then follow up. I will tell you that the follow up is the most important piece, but it is also a piece that we won't spend a lot of time on. I will share with you my model of open house from start to finish. Now, my model is not to say that that has to be the exact way that you do it. You want to listen, adapt, try things. If you have an opportunity to go to another class with somebody else who does open houses, then absolutely do that, because you will pick up different things from different people. What I'm trying to do is just share with you a way to get you started, and then you would and should adapt things to you and what works best for you in your business. So please keep that in mind, that you do not have to do everything that I do. I'm just going to be sharing with you what I do as a way to get you started in the process. Okay, so I've kind of already touched a little bit on this, but here we have the benefits of an open house. So first of all, they are very, very inexpensive. You're not paying for leads. Really, the only expense that you have with an open house are the signs that you need to purchase, and also the printouts that you're going to be doing. If you do them in black and white, then at the office you're already paying for that up front, so it shouldn't be an additional expense for you. You also have high return on investment, again, because it is inexpensive and exposure. People are coming into an open house because one of two reasons: they're interested in buying, or possibly because they want to learn a little bit more about different marketing or design ideas. So they might be just looky-loose, but if you're able to get their information, connect with them, build a relationship, you might be their go-to person down the road. You get qualified leads from one listing. So again, people that are coming into you specifically, especially in the market that we're in right now, probably because they are interested in buying. And it's a productive way to meet buyers and sellers. So the main expense or downfall of open houses is it is a little bit of a time. And we're going to go through a time investment on your part. We're going to go through what you have to do to find one, and then of course the time that you are at the open house. So you could do every single thing right that I mentioned in this training and still not have anybody show up to an open house. Or maybe all of the people are represented by agents. But again, it's getting yourself out there and meeting new people. Okay, so let me go to the next slide. So here we're going to start talking about the model. And I am going to be going back and forth to different websites to show you guys how to do exactly what it is that I do, again, through the whole process. So you'll see our model here is broken into 3 sections. We've got prepare, prospect, and pursue. So the preparation is all about finding the open house, getting all of your documents ready to be able to hold it open. The prospecting is going to be the actual day of the open house, and I will tell you a couple of the questions that I ask. And then the third piece is the pursue. So that is the follow-up. So again, won't spend a whole bunch of time on that, but it is the most important thing. So if you do everything right and then you don't follow up, then you've wasted the time that you spent in the other two areas. So I will share with you the process that I use to follow up. Again, it is just a model. It is just what I use. You will need to adapt to something to what fits you. All right, so here we have the whole preparation set up for success. So they have it broken down into different days of the week. Now I'm going to be talking about they quite a bit. So when I say they, I mean the Leader's Guide or the people at Keller Williams International that created this presentation. And then I'm going to tell you a little bit about what I do. There is a little bit of a difference. I'm a very systemized person, so I have a system in place that I utilize consistently, and it differs a little bit from what Keller Williams says. So we're going to start with Monday. Monday is all about, for both of us, is all about finding that open house. So if you've been with us for any length of time and you're part of the KWPP Facebook page, you've probably seen people go in there and say, hey, I'd love to hold a house open for you this weekend. In my personal opinion, I'm not a huge fan of that. Have I done it? Yes. But ideally, what you want to do is you want to take some initiative, and we would prefer that you reach out individually to agents of houses that you are interested in holding open rather than just putting it out there for the masses. So let me go ahead and show you how I start searching for an open house. So to do an open house, you do have to have access to Heartland MLS. That is going to be a prerequisite. So if you don't have that yet, you can continue to watch this video, but you will probably have to revisit it again. That is something that is going to be absolutely required for you to be able to do this, because you have to have access to the information, and you also have to get your e-key because you'll need access to an iBox if the house has that type of locking system on it. So when you log into Heartland MLS, you have these different applications. We're going to be going into the Matrix X or Matrix 10, and I'm going to be showing you guys how to search for an open house. So first thing you're going to do, and typically you're going to utilize this quite a bit, you go to search and you're going to go to residential quick. Okay, down below here, you'll notice that we have this spot called additional fields, and you'll see that I already have some added. So yours will probably be blank, but what you will need to do is you will need to click add remove, and then it gives you a list of additional available fields that you can add to your search. So what we're looking for to add right now for open house purposes is list office ID. So it'll be in alphabetical order. So you're going to find that, click on it, and then you're going to click add. Then once you hit back, that will show up below this gray line. So you'll see here, list office ID. So this is our listing office ID. So you always want to search for our listings first at our KWPP Market Center. The reason for that is it allows you, and only shows things from our listings, which is what I just said. But the reason that's important is because you don't have to get special permission to be able to hold one of our listings open. If you were to say, let's, for example, you have somebody that you know that works at the Southland office, and you want to hold one of their listings open, you can do that, but first you have to get written permission from their broker. So please be sure that you are doing that. Theoretically, you could hold a listing open for any brokerage as long as you have written permission from that broker. So that's why I always say start with our office, and if you can find something within our office, you don't have to go to any additional work. So our office ID is KW02. Then I'm going to scroll back up and I'm going to, you can see here we have 57 matches. So I don't really want to necessarily look through 57 matches. So maybe I'm going to go to try to find a house that's on the market for the last 14 days. So list days back. So I am recording this video right now in a market where we have very low inventory and we are absolutely 100% a seller's market. So homes aren't on the market for very long. Typically, I would do less than this. Ideally, in a more balanced market, you'd probably want to look for something that's been on the market for 7 days or less. But right now, most homes are not staying on the market long enough to do an open house. So that's why not only are we going to select active over here in our listing status, I'm also going to select pre-MLS. Okay, so you'll see here that narrows me down to 23 matches. That's pretty doable. I'm going to click results and then I will start looking through these. Now what I will do is I'll have a piece of paper and I'll number it 1 through 5. And as I go through these and I find ones that I think would be good for open houses, I'm going to fit them in on my numbered system. So for me, I'm going to skip down to at least, I usually go in at least the $175,000 range. And that's just my own business decision. I am not a huge into investors. So if you're looking to possibly get into investors, you could look at some of these lower price points and potentially hold those open. For me, I'm going to look at this one, the first one here, that's $275,000. So by clicking on the MLS number, it brings up the listing for you. The very first thing that I'm going to look at is scrolling down here to listing office information. And I'm going to find out who has this property for sale. In this particular example, it's the Ask Kathy team. So they are amazing. Kathy County is one of the best people I know, but I also know she has a huge team and they typically will give their open houses to their team members before they open it up to anyone else. So my name is on a list with the Ask Kathy team. So if they have an opportunity that none of their agents want, I'm on a list that they will reach out to me. So I'm automatically going to go right past this one because I know that information about the particular team. This one is Lauren Sterling. She's another amazing agent in our office. I know her really well, so it would definitely be a possibility to hold this one open. So knowing that, I'm going to scroll down here to the directions. This is the second place that I look at. Ideally for me, I am looking to have something that is 2 turns or less away from a major road. So for this one, Duncan is a major road, so you have to east on Duncan to 2nd Street, and then left on Paseo. So this one would be a good option as far as turns because it's only 2 turns from the main road. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the pictures that the agent has. So I'm looking to make sure that the pictures are nice and to, you know, because this is what you're going to be using for your marketing. So hopefully they're using professional photographers. As you get listings, please invest in that. So the pictures look good. And as you do this, you'll just start knowing which agents get professional photos and which ones may not. So this looks fine. I'm not too concerned about anything that I'm seeing in the house or the pictures. So this would be a good option, and it's in Blue Springs. So this may be number 1 or number 2 on my list. And I'm going to continue to just keep going through until I have a few different options. Now, one thing to keep in mind is you do need to look here. Like this one is pretty obvious that it's a new construction based on the picture. And you'll see here that it is under construction. So typically those you're just going to go right past because it may not be at a stage yet that you can actually get in and hold it open. Okay, so you can kind of notice that. So here's the Hearn Group. The Hearn Group is pretty much just like Ask Kathy. They do have a team. And again, they usually give it to their team first. So and looking at the private remarks is also good. So this says property is complete but cannot close until July of 2022. Okay, so might be a good opportunity for an open house if nobody from their team or group is holding it open. Okay, so I'm just going to go through like that until I have a couple of different options of homes to call on. And then my open houses are set. So on Saturday and Sunday, I do them from 12 to 2. So what I will do is I will call and or text the agent depending on how well I know them. I never do email because as an agent, we get so many emails, it's very easy to just not see those. So my preference is always to call or email, and I tell them right up front, say my name. Hey, I saw you have a listing on 72nd Street in Kansas City. I'd love to hold it open if you and your sellers are open to that. I was looking to do it on Saturday from 12 to 2. And then they're obviously, unless it's a vacant home, they're going to have to take some time, reach out to their client to see if they would be interested in that being held open. I give them a couple of hours, and if I don't hear back, then I'm probably going to move on to the next one on my list. Now, keep in mind, open houses do not have to be done solely on the weekends. I would recommend you looking at the map or driving by the property and seeing what else is close by. If there's a school close by, it would be a great opportunity to do an open house during the week, maybe from 2 to 4, so that parents, as they're coming to pick up their kids or when they're leaving with their kids, they might have the time to be able to stop and walk through the house. So please don't limit yourself to just So another thing to consider, if you can't find anything that is currently active, you can then look at the pre-MLS ones that you had marked before. So you'll see here, you can tell the difference between active and pre-MLS. And with pre-MLS, you're going to look for the same things. You're just going to look a little bit further. So for example, the first thing I'm going to look at on these is first the agent still. And the next thing I'm going to look at is this. You have an MLS active date. So the advantage to these is you can advertise them because they are pre-MLS, even though you're not going to be able to share this on your website, or you're not going to be able to create a list report for it, which is what we're going to show you next. But you can see and plan ahead. So this one goes active on 10/1. So you could look at that one and reach out to the agent to see if you could hold it open. Still looking at the address and the pictures, of course. Looking at this one goes on 10/9, and it is Jennifer Smeltzer. You'll see a lot of Jennifer Smeltzer ones, 11/15. So you can utilize this to plan ahead and find something that isn't necessarily on the market right now, but that is coming soon, that you could then capitalize on probably before anybody else to hold it open. Then we start going into our marketing plan. So on Tuesday, we start the whole marketing plan. So according to them, their suggestion on Tuesday is to start going ahead and marketing this online. For me, Tuesday is kind of my day off of open houses if I have found one that I'm wanting to hold open. If I haven't, then I'm utilizing Tuesday to go ahead and continue to look for one and or wait for responses from people. So my true marketing doesn't start until Wednesday, unless if I've gotten permission and approval to do an open house and I'm in the vicinity or out and about, I could go ahead and drop one sign in the front yard on Tuesday. So I have different signs for different things. I have directional signs, which we'll talk about as we get into later in the week. And then I have a sign that says open Saturday, and it's got a spot underneath that where you can write in the time frame. And then I've got the same one that says open Sunday. So that is the one that I would drop off and put in the yard of the house as soon as I know that I'm able to hold it open, so that the neighbors can at least see that for the rest of the week, and hopefully my traffic will be better. Okay, so Wednesday, they say to post online, to put a sign in the yard. So if I haven't done it yet, then I can go ahead and do that. And, I agree with that on Wednesdays. It really depends on the open house I'm holding. If I'm holding a Saturday open house, then I do start my online advertising on Wednesday. If I'm doing a Sunday open house, then I start my marketing on Thursday. And again, that is just me in the way that it has gone adapted through my business. You don't have to wait until Thursday. You can do it absolutely whenever you want, but that's just kind of the way that my system has progressed. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and go back, and we will start showing you how I do my marketing. So there's a lot of different ways in which you can advertise your open house. So mine is done on Facebook. So here is the most recent one that I did. You'll see this one was a little bit of a different situation because it was pre-MLS. So when it's pre-MLS, there's no way to share it like by using your website or anything like that because it's not active yet. So since I started my marketing prior to it going live, because it didn't go live until Friday, I had to switch things up. So I still was able to go into the listing. So like, for example, let me find one of these. Maybe find the Lauren Sterling's. Okay, so you can go in here and you can right click and save the pictures. So that's what I did for mine. I just picked a few of the pictures that I liked of the house, and I just saved those and added the pictures. I always do hashtag open house in hashtag whatever city and state the property is located. And then typically what I will do is I'll just pull some information from what the agent wrote about the property, include this, as well as the times of when the open house is occurring. So I actually held it open on Saturday from 12 to 2. Another agent in the office did it from Sunday. I went ahead and advertised both times just to try to make it a more successful open house. The one thing that you absolutely have to have on your post is listing courtesy of, and it has to at least say Keller Williams Platinum Partners or the brokerage that the house is listed with. So for example, earlier I said the Southland office. So it would have to say listing courtesy of Keller Williams Southland Partners. Okay, so I also usually always include the name of the listing agent or the group as well. Then on Friday, once the website was available, I added this click for more info and photos and included my website link to this. Okay, now this is done from my business page. I also post it on my personal page. So I post it on either the Wednesday or the Thursday, and then immediately I start sharing this. So you'll see here I shared it 8 times. If it's a Lee Summit address, I have a lot more shares because I'm in a lot more Lee Summit area swap and shop. So if you have not already, you want to go on Facebook and you want to join the swap and shops, the for sales, all of those different things that you can join in the areas in which you think that you will be selling. So, or you can do it as you go. Just know that it might take a little bit of time to be able to get approval into the group. So the reason I share it from my business page is because I get to see this information. So you'll see here, it tells me how many people it reached and how much engagement it had. And I will tell you, this was a hopping open house. I had people in the whole time. There was barely a moment to breathe, and I had multiple people coming in at once. So it was a very successful open house. So that's what I do. I'll share it once the day that I post it, so either Wednesday or Thursday, and then I will share it again into the same groups the morning of the open house. And I'll say something to the effect of, starting soon, please be sure to drop by and check out this property. Anytime you share, you do want to make sure that you write something rather than just sharing without writing anything. That'll get more attention and it'll get a higher priority with the Facebook algorithm. Okay, so like I said, I also share this on my personal page. I usually only share it once on my personal page. So you can share your website. You do have a Keller Williams website as a new agent and an existing agent, so you can utilize that. The other thing that I would recommend if you are interested is you can also use listreports.com. So this is an amazing, it's an amazing opportunity service that you can utilize that you don't pay anything for. This is actually a program that's paid for by lenders and you get access to it for free, and it's got some great marketing material. So I'm going to go ahead and log into this so that you can kind of see what the whole process looks like. So it's going to load everything because obviously I have already been a member of this. So when you first log in, you've got the stuff up here, profile. You can set up your profile, answer all of the questions, your company. It gives you a spot for your bio, all of the information you want to have this filled out, and include your picture. The next thing you'll want to do is over here on the side, you've got the My Loan Officer. So I have this set up with one of my favorite loan officers. I typically try to switch this from time to time. But when you first go in there, obviously it won't have anybody. So you'll hit select a lender and then you can just type in the names. You can absolutely use my lender. She would be so happy to be able to grant you access. Also, Lacey Randall and Lacey Moores at our office are also in here, so you can request them if you want, or if you have another lender relationship already established. So you just select that. It will send them a message, and you can utilize this without a lender, without being paired up. You just are going to get more access to more things if you have that lender. Okay, so these are my existing marketing kits. We're going to come back to them. To create a new one, you're going to use this new marketing kit. And then really all you have to do is type in the address of a property. So we're going to pretend like we're doing one for Lauren's listing. So 101 Northeast Paseo, 101 Northeast Paseo, and it should bring it up. So Blue Springs, Missouri. It brings everything over from MLS, all of the pictures, all of the information that the agent has inputted. So you don't have to do anything with the pictures if you don't want to. It gives you an option here in a minute. So I go to customize your marketing material, and you come down here and you have open house information. This is where you're going to note the month, day, and start and end time for your open house. Okay, if there's multiples, you can add more. Then once you've got that entered, you'll come here, you're going to click this, and then you're going to hit submit. And it's going to be working in the background. It takes about 5 to 10 minutes, and it'll send you an email and or a text message telling you that your marketing kit is ready. Okay, so once it's ready, you can click in here under the view. So it's going to take just a second to load. And once it does, you'll see we have a lot of different things to choose from, a lot of different material. So see here, we've got a property website. You've got an open house flyer. So let me show you the open house flyer. Now this one didn't actually have an open house, so I probably should not have picked it. But typically it'll say open house and then it'll have the date and time next to that. It's got the price, the address, information. It picks photos for you. If you don't like the photos that it picks, you can go in and edit it. I'll show you that in a minute. It has all the information about the property straight from MLS, my information, my lender. And then on the second page, this is my favorite part, it has all these different infographics. So it does this all for you. Gives you things that are most convenient, gas, pharmacy, gym, all those things. Schools, along with the school ratings. I will tell you that if these ratings are low, my suggestion would be to remove those, and I will show you how to do that in just a second. It shows you things that are close as far as the outdoors, and then your neighborhood eats, restaurants that are close by. Okay, I do print a copy of this off, multiple copies of this off in color, front and back, and these this is something that I give people at the open house. Also, if I'm door knocking, this is what I utilize. So I will do it in black and white and use this for door knocking. The other awesome thing that this gives you is the property website. So again, it creates it for you. It pulls everything from MLS. This is something that you can utilize to share on Facebook if you would prefer to use this versus your website link. So you could just copy and paste this and put it into your Facebook post. But you'll see here it has about the home. So again, it pulls this stuff straight from MLS, what the agent has typed. Then you have the photo gallery, so all the pictures of the property that the agent has loaded, plus the infographics come up at the very end. So again, they can see all of those things. It has exploring the area, so this is just the infographics, a payment calculator, your information, and then the lender's information. So this is a great tool that you can utilize without having to create additional work for yourself in command with your website. So great tool to utilize, again, completely free to you. So let me show you how to edit. So back on this page, you have the edit button. It's pretty self-explanatory. So when you click on that, it'll bring up this, and you have different categories of things that you can edit. So let's say, for example, you want to change the address, price, square footage, or you don't like what the agent wrote about it, you can update the property description. Here you can add or select new photos. And then here is where you can update school information or remove school ratings or just remove the school infographic completely. Okay, so you have the ability to edit quite a bit of information on list reports. So that is, I create my list reports and I do my Facebook post on Wednesday and or Thursday. Okay, so let me close my email so that I don't get notifications during this. Sorry. Okay, going back in here to the presentation. So like I said, that's Wednesday and Thursday for me. Their suggestion is to continue to post online every day. I just would say be careful with that because you don't want to oversaturate and get kicked out of groups and or start annoying people. That leads us to Friday. So Friday is when I start getting all of the rest of my marketing material ready. So the list report items, I go back into list reports, I print those flyers that I just showed you, and then I'm also going to go into MLS and show you that. Another thing that they recommend to do is to send an email to your database. And I think that's a great idea. I just think that you have to be careful with the oversaturation with your database as well. So for example, when I was a brand new agent, I was doing 3 to 4 open houses every single week, or every single month, I'm sorry. So I did not want to send an email that many times a month because I don't want people to unsubscribe from the emails. So my suggestion is if you're going to be doing multiple open houses every month, pick one that you're going to share. And then if you have people that might be interested or know people that are interested in one of your other ones, then maybe you specifically target those people, but you don't send it out to your whole database. Because hopefully your whole database is getting other things from you through your smart plans on a regular basis as it is. Okay, so Friday is when I'm gathering the rest of all of my marketing material and also putting signs up. So let's talk about the marketing material first, and then we'll talk about the signs. So like I said, you've got your open house flyer here, so you can absolutely print color copies of that to be able to hand out to people. What I typically have I have a box of all my open house stuff, and within that it has clipboards, and on the clipboard I have an open house questionnaire, which I will show you here in a few minutes. Underneath that is where I slide either one of these flyers or a flyer from Matrix, MLS. And then I also have a pen and a business card on the clipboard. and that I give to people as they're leaving. So we'll talk about that as we get into the day of. So again, I have this open house flyer printed out, about 5 or 6 copies of that one. And then I also come into here and a couple of things that you're going to want to print from here, specifically the seller's disclosure. So right here underneath schedule is showing, you have view documents. So you'll want to open that up. You'll want to open up the seller's disclosure. And for me, I print 1 copy of this to have with me the day of. I will write please leave or do not take on the top corner and highlight that because it's my only copy that I'm going to have there. My reasoning behind that is if you would like a copy of the seller's disclosure, you have to give me something to get something. So they have to give me their email address or their phone number, and then I would be happy to send it to them. Otherwise, they can just look through it while they're there at the open house. So you'll want to have at least 1 copy of that. Another thing that you could do if you choose not to use list reports, you can just print this information from MLS. So you could print this client full, and you could utilize this as something that you give to people instead of the list report document. Again, I do this in color. And I usually, if I'm going to use this, I'm going to print the same 5 or 6 copies. Sometimes I print both just so that I make sure that I have enough of everything. I also print one of the agent full copies for me. And this is kind of what I use as my study guide prior to the open house. And I also have it with me the day of so that I make sure that I know all the information. So from here, obviously I want to know beds and baths. I want to know total square footage. I want to know the year the house was built. Obviously how many garages. And then the rest of the things that I'm going to memorize are going to be from that seller's disclosure. So I want to know off the top of my head how old the roof is, if there's any issues with the house, so you can kind of just go through and look for yeses. And then I also want to know about the units. So the air conditioner, the furnace, and the water heater. I want to know how old they are. And if there is an HOA, you absolutely need to know the HOA information. So how much is it? How often do they pay that? And then what do they get with that amount that they are spending? Do they get pool access, clubhouse, whatever it is, you need to know that, and you want to know it without having to look. Okay. So the other thing that I do the day of, I'm going to go ahead and print this to PDF so that I can remember the address. The other thing I do is I prepare what is called a 3-up. And that is just a tool that I have adapted to utilize to hopefully extend the relationship beyond just that open house. So I'm going to go here to search, and I'm going to go to residential quick again. And right here at the top, you have this location, this map search. I'm going to type in the address of the property that I'm holding open. So it is 101 Northeast Paseo, and it will come up as I start typing, or it should. Okay, and I'm going to start with a 2-mile radius around the property, and I'm looking for active. This property is listed for $335. So my list price, I'm going to narrow this down. Let's say maybe $300 to $350. Okay, so that gives me 2 matches. Ideally, I want a few more matches than that. So I'm going to extend this to 3 miles, see what it does. It gives me 3 matches. Okay, so 3 would be the minimum of what I would want. I'm going to click on results. And actually, I would prefer more because obviously the address of this house comes up. So let me actually maybe try to move this to 370, see if I can get some more matches. Oh, that gives me quite a few. How about 360? That gives me 6 matches. Okay, so go back to results. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click this top because it'll click all of them. Then I'm going to unclick the property address. Okay, then you can see we have some options down here. Now you may not have all of these options. I do 3-up comparisons quite a bit, so that's why it shows up on my screen. If it doesn't show up here for you, then you can click on the print, and you've got some reports listed here, and then you've got more click. So what you're looking at for is this one that says 3-up comparison. So I'm going to click on that, and then what this gives me, these are properties within a 3-mile radius within the price range that I specified that are currently for sale. Okay, so what I utilize this for, and I'll print like at least 5 copies. I will have these with me, and as the person is getting ready to leave after they've filled out their questionnaire, I will say, obviously this house wasn't quite right for you. Here are some other homes that are active right now within your price range, possibly. And you're going to want to look to see if any of them have open houses. If not, you would say, I would love to be able to show this house to you and see if it might fit your criteria. How about after the open house is over at about 2:30, I could meet you there and show this house to you to see if this one might meet your requirements a little bit better. Okay, so this will allow you, hopefully, to then be able to extend that relationship beyond the open house. Okay, and this is all if they do not have an agent. If they have an agent, then you're not going to be offering to show them another property. They need to talk to their agent for that. Okay, but this is a great tool to be able to continue the conversation with people at your open house. So again, I print 3 or 4 copies or 5 to 6 copies, depending on how I think the traffic will be, so that I can utilize that. Okay. So those are the print materials that I get ready, hopefully on Friday, and have available during the open house. The other thing on Friday that you want to start thinking about is signs. So I've mentioned earlier directional signs. I have quite a few of them, and they should go out as soon as possible. So typically you can do research earlier in the week and see if you might be able to get them out earlier. Each city has different rules and regulations on how many directional signs you can use, where you can put the directional signs, all of that stuff. So you will definitely want to do your research. I usually look online first. If I can't find the information that I'm looking for, then I will go ahead and just call the city, let them know, hey, I'm a real estate agent. I am wanting to put up directional signs for an open house and wanted to get your rules and regulations on that. They will very kindly tell you the information. So for example, obviously Lee Summit, I do quite a few in Lee Summit. So the rules and regulations for Lee Summit is you cannot put directional signs out until after 5 p.m. on Friday night. So that's why I say you're probably in most cases going to be waiting until Friday to put your directional signs out. Now, I have a whole system of how I put my signs out, and what I would ask is that you reach out to me to be able to get that information, and I'm happy to draw you a diagram of how I do those. But I mentioned earlier that I'm looking for 2 turns or less. I will tell you that 2 turns to the house requires 12 signs based on the way that I put the signs out. So I don't have the ability to draw this for you on my computer right now. So that is your homework, and also how we will know that you have watched this is for you to reach out to me, and we can talk through and I can illustrate to you how I put the signs out. Signs do get picked up all the time, so just know that it's a cost of doing business, that you may have 12 signs, and even if you do everything right, your signs might get thrown away. So with the signs, I always try, I'll say try because I don't always have the ability to, but as a newer agent, I definitely did. I'm always door knocking before I put a sign in somebody's yard. Okay, a lot of different reasons for that. One, it gives you a connection. It gives you somebody to add to your database. So I knock on their door. I just say, hey, my name's Austin Freed. I'm doing an open house at the house right down the street. And I was wondering if you would allow me to put a directional sign in your yard for the next 24 hours or 48 hours, however long that it is. Okay. If they say yes, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I am writing their address down in my phone or somewhere. And you can guarantee that on Monday, I'm going to be writing them a handwritten note, thanking them for allowing me to put a sign in their yard and sending them my business cards. And then they're probably going to get something every quarter from me moving forward. Okay. The other reason why you always want to ask is, people have sprinkler systems in their yards. So I have heard a horror story of somebody puncturing someone's sprinkler system by putting a sign in their yard. Now, typically when I'm doing it, I'm putting the signs closer to the street, so it's not like in the middle of their yard, but that might be a way of getting around a statute within a city. If you're needing to put signs out earlier because you don't have the availability to do it later, you could always put the sign further up in somebody's yard, because theoretically, I always put the signs between the sidewalk and the street. And yes, the homeowner maintains that yard, but the city also still sees that as their property. If you put it on the other side of the sidewalk, in between the sidewalk and the house, the city does not consider that city property, so they are less likely to take that out of someone's yard. So that is one way of getting around the rules and regulations for the cities, if the person will allow you to do that. So please ask whenever you get the opportunity. If you don't ask, if nobody answers the door, in most cases, I'm still going to put a sign out. I'm going to try to make it less obvious or less obtrusive to them, but also knowing that if they throw the sign away, then, again, that's just the cost of doing business. You go buy new signs. Okay. Then you could also be door knocking on Friday and Saturday if that's how you choose to do it, or making phone calls. If you prefer to cold call versus door knock, there is a system out there called Cole Directory. It's COLE Directory. You do have to pay to get access, but what it allows you to do is put in an address, and then you can, it'll search and it'll give you phone numbers for people that live in whatever radius you put around them. So you could call and invite them to the open house. Me personally, I am a door knocker. I do not like cold calling. So my preference is always to take those list report flyers in black and white, printed on both sides, and use that to door knock. And there are some scripts. You can look in the script books. So the Ignite has 2 different script books. Those are posted on our Facebook page in the file section, or you can ask your coach how to access that. I believe there's also a video on this YouTube channel that shows you how to access those scripts. But there are some door knocking scripts. And if you're looking for some additional, you can absolutely talk to your coach, or just Google. My suggestion is to look at a couple of different ones, find ones that work for you, that you can internalize, that sound like you. You may have to make some adjustments, but the main thing is that you want to have the thought process, and you want to just be able to have it come out naturally. So you may like pieces from one and pieces from another one, and you can put them together. And as long as it is internalized and you can utilize it, then that's what you should be using. Okay. So door knocking, if I'm doing a Saturday open house, I'm absolutely door knocking on Friday, if not Thursday. The trick with door knocking is that you want to be able to talk to people. You want people answering their door. So if I'm going through and 90% of the doors that I knock on, I'm not getting anybody to answer, I'm going to stop and I'm going to come back at a different time. I do have door hangers. I have the little plastic sleeves that I got from Amazon that I can leave a flyer in. But again, that is not the purpose of door knocking. It's to just leave a flyer. I want to be able to interact with people. So the that's why if you're not getting a lot of people, that you should stop and try a different time. You can absolutely door knock right before your open house. That is completely acceptable. Okay. I believe that gets us through to possibly, let me check the slides, the day of the open house. Okay, so I've already talked about a lot of this stuff. So the preparation, again, the location, is it close to school? Should you offer it at a different time or day versus just the weekend? The traffic patterns and local practices. So I kind of talked about that when I gave the example of the school. Maybe a weekend open house would be great, but maybe a weekday one would be even better. Okay, door knocking. So again, I told you that there was the door knocking script. Social campaigns. So I didn't mention this earlier, so let's talk about this now. You do have the ability, if you want to do paid ads. So I showed you my Facebook post that I do. Let me go back to that real quick. So you'll notice here, you can click boost post through here. I would recommend that if you're going to do any type of paid ad, that you do it through command versus doing it through here. The reason I suggest command is because it will, when people respond to that ad, it will automatically add them into your contacts. So let me show you how. So over here, you've got campaigns. It's the megaphone. If you click on campaigns, it takes you to the ability where you can click create campaign. So when you click on create campaign, you have the options of a social paid ad, a Google paid ad. So I've never used the Google. I always use the social. So all you do is just follow the prompts. So you enter a name. So you would put the address and open house possibly. And you're going to probably do this as an advertised listing. And then where do you want it to run? Facebook, Twitter, and or Instagram. You can choose all three, or you can do one or the other. Then you're just going to create campaign and you're going to go through the steps. Okay. It's a very easy process. It will lead you through it. Let me go to some of my paid ads that I've done. You can set the budget whatever you want. You can do as low as $5, $10, $15. I probably wouldn't go more than 10 because you're only going to be running it for a few days anyway. It will default to, I believe, 10 days. So please make sure that you do change the period of time that ad is going to run, because you don't want the ad running after your open house is over. So this is something that you're going to have to plan ahead for and do probably on that Wednesday if you are going to be doing a paid ad. So here's one that I did for an open house. You'll see I spent $16.60 and I got 14 leads from it. And then just going down, here's another one. I spent $20 and I got 13. This one I spent $10 and I got 23 leads. So definitely some abilities here to be able to add to your database. Now keep in mind, leads are not the same as people that know, like, and trust you. So leads are going to take a lot more work to be able to convert to sold. But it is a great way to continue to add to your database as long as you have a system in place to follow up with this. And there are amazing smart plans out there that will help you do that. Okay, so you do absolutely have the ability to do some paid ads if you would like to advertise the open house. Okay. All right, so here we have hosting. So we are to the day of the open house. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is build rapport. So absolutely be greeting people as they come into the open house. So for me, I'm one of the agents that I walk around with them the whole time they're in the office. There are other agents for their open houses that they just are standing at the front door the whole time and they're just greeting them and then having them sign their paperwork when they leave, or maybe they hand it to them when they first come in. For me, I get a very limited amount of time with these people during an open house, so I want to capitalize on that. So I am going to be walking with them unless there's multiple couples in the house. Then I'm kind of going to go back and forth. Again, because I want to spend as much time with them as possible and learn as much about them as possible so that I can then tailor my communication with them to make it more personal. So when they come in, I'm going to say, hello, welcome. Thanks for coming. My name's Austin. Really appreciate you coming in. Tell me, what brings you by today? Are you looking to look or are you looking to buy? Okay, so I kind of set the tone right from the beginning. And most people will answer that truthfully, at least I feel like it is. You'll get people that, especially in the summertime, will say, oh, I'm just looking to look. I'm like, great, okay, well, what about this house interested you enough to come take the time to look at it? Okay, so again, just trying to get to know them a little bit. If they say that they're looking to buy, one of the first questions I will ask them is, oh, okay, well, great. Have you been looking at a lot of houses? And then get their response from that. In this market that we're in currently, when I'm recording this, a lot of people have agents already. They're having to put in multiple offers. So a lot of people will tell me, yeah, I've been looking for a while. I've already put in 2 offers. And if they say that, I'm like, okay, well, I'm sorry to hear that, but I promise you that you will find the perfect house for you. And I'm assuming since you put in offers that you already have an agent, and they will tell me yes or no. And 9 times out of 10, it's going to be yes in that instance. Okay. So when I know that right away, I know that, okay, if there's somebody else in the house, then I might devote a little bit more time to them versus this person, because this person is already off limits to me. Okay. In other markets, when I ask about, if you've looked at a lot of houses, people say, oh, we're just starting looking. One of the great questions that I ask to find out if they have an agent is, okay, well, how are you finding the homes that you're going to? And then, some of them will say, oh, my agent sent them to me. Some of them will say Zillow. So that's a great way for me to ask the question or ask a question to find out if they have an agent without actually having to come out and ask them if they have an agent. Then I'm just asking them additional questions and listening to them as they're walking around. So, asking what they like about the houses that they've seen. What do they think about this specific aspect of this house? Listening to them when they say, oh, there's no yard or no fence around the yard. Okay, well, I take it a fence is a requirement for you. And they'll be like, oh, yeah, we have dogs or we have kids or whatever. So just, again, trying to get as much information as I can without necessarily coming out and asking those direct questions. Once they've left and they filled out the questionnaire, which I'll talk about here in just a second, I turn the questionnaire over and I write down all of the information that I picked up from them. The things that are important to them, a little bit about them, how they interacted with each other, how they interacted with me, all of that information. Again, I'm just going to write down on the back of their sheet so that I can then add that to my database. Okay. As they're getting ready to leave, I will ask them I'll hand them one of my clipboards, excuse me, and I will ask them to please, I'll say, if you wouldn't mind, I would really appreciate it if you would fill out this questionnaire to leave some feedback for the seller. So let me go ahead and find my questionnaire for you real quick so that you can see it. And this is something I took from another agent. So I saw it. It's had about 3 or 4 different iterations, so I've changed it quite a few times, but this has worked well for me. So you can absolutely take a picture of this, screenshot it, recreate it, but you'll see I have the name, address, city, phone, email, how did you hear about the open house, and then I ask them to rate it based on these different categories. I ask how they feel about the price, their favorite aspects, their drawbacks, and then if they've signed a contract to work with a real estate agent, and if so, the name of their agent. This is what enables me to feel comfortable asking for their information. Now, if they don't fill anything out up here, I'm not going to then continue to ask them for it unless they've asked me to provide them with some additional information. And in that case, I have to have at least a name, phone number, or an email address so that I can provide them with that information. Otherwise, this here is what enables me to ask them to fill anything out. So this has worked for me. There are people that utilize this and or utilize it via or electronically. For me, I've tried it electronically. Doesn't work for me. I'm not comfortable having people have like an iPad or whatever electronic device and giving that to them for however long as they're walking through the house. Plus, if there's more than one couple, how do you do that? Yes, people write illegibly so that I can't read it. I know and understand that. Even if they're doing it electronically and I can read it, it still might not be the correct information. So that's just something that you have to know going into this, is that some people won't want you to have their information and they're either going to put fake information or they're not going to fill it out. And that's fine. If you want to be the agent that pushes to get more information, then that's on you. And that's how you, if that's how you want to run your business, then that's how you do your business. There's no right or wrong to this. Again, I'm just showing you what works best for me. Okay, so this is mine. Again, I give them give it to them at the end, and I'll give them the flyer that's underneath it. Here's some information about the house in case you want to take it. All of that information has my name and my information on it, but they've also got the ability to take my business card that's attached to the clipboard as well. So that's kind of how I do that. And then, of course, I mentioned the 3-up if that is something that is relevant, and I will give that to them and offer to schedule the showing for them later. Okay. Another thing to keep in mind when you are with people is if they have children with them, anytime you can engage the child in the conversation, as long as you're not being creepy, parents are very appreciative of that. So, during fall and summer, you have a lot of people or a lot of kids that are in sports. So I've seen during a lot of open houses, people will come in and the kids will have on their sporting uniforms. So to engage the child, I can ask them questions. Oh, well, I see you're playing baseball. Did you have a game, or are you on your way to a game? And then, okay, well, what position do you play? If they just finished the game, did you win? How did you do? Just different things like that to try to engage the child in conversation as well. Again, parents love that. And it's going to set you apart possibly from other people. Okay. So I'm pretty sure that is all. If I think of anything that I've forgotten, we'll come back to it. But that's pretty much my process during the open house. So just have a lot of great open-ended questions you can ask people about the house, about their search, and questions to try to figure out the needs without coming out and asking, oh, do you have kids? Do you have pets? Ways to be creative and engage them. If somebody is very unresponsive and I can tell that they don't really want to have a conversation with me, I will back off, but I'm still walking with them around the house, especially if it's an occupied home. Again, unless I have multiple people, and then I'm kind of going back and forth between the different people. So trying to leave them alone as little as possible in the house. Okay, here's some examples of other ways to capture the lead. So List Reports does have a sign-in sheet. It's pretty much like this, just asking for name, email, and phone number. And again, the digital version of this, there is a landing page you can do. Again, I prefer to be able to ask all those additional questions. It makes it more comfortable for me to be able to ask for their information. So that's what I tend to utilize. And here's that landing page. This is something that you can create in Command. Speaking of Command, I forgot to show you something else. So within Designs here, it's the paintbrush. You can create graphics for open houses to be able to share on your Facebook as well. So let me see if I can get this open so that you can see it. I'll actually Let me just create one so you can see how that's done. And of course, it's going to move ahead without me. But when you're in designs, that blue button at the top, I'm going to go back, is create. So you can create a design. You can click social, continue. And then from there, it's going to take you and it'll give you another menu on the left-hand side. And you're going to click listing once it loads. I'm sorry, I didn't remember to tell you this earlier, but under listing, you have open house. So then there are tons of different graphics for you to choose from to be able to create an open house graphic to share on Facebook. Okay, so you kind of just pick whichever one you like. Let me go ahead and just pick this one. I want to show you just one or two things here. Everything you'll see you can change. It is editable. If you don't like this color, you can click on the color. You can change it to a different color. Okay. Obviously, you're going to update the date in here. So you click on the text. There's this little typewriter button here, which will bring up this for you to easily go in and retype the correct dates. Same thing with the address. Click on the text, go to typewriter. Same thing over here. As far as the picture, you obviously want a picture from the listing that you're holding open. So going back over here, you've got this that says KWLS. You can click on that, and then you have the ability to, I always do MLS number. So coming over here to this MLS, one that we're using, 2345863. 2345863. I'm going to put in that MLS number, hit enter, and you'll see here I'm going to hit select on the appropriate address, and it brings all the pictures up from MLS. When I have this photo selected, I can come over here. Let's say I want this picture. I'm going to replace image, and that brings in a picture of the actual property that you're going to be at. So this is absolutely something that you can utilize on Facebook to share as well if you would prefer to do it this way instead of doing a website, or you could do both. Okay, so sorry I forgot to mention that earlier, but another great option in Command for you to utilize. All right, switching gears a little bit, we're going to talk for a second about some safety things. So first of all, never park in the driveway. And this was something that I used to do until I started teaching this class and really started thinking about it. You know, you want to park on the street so that you always have the ability to get away if needed. So I usually park a little bit away from the house so that my cars, the front of my car is usually at somebody else's driveway, so that hopefully that driveway isn't blocked and I would be able to get away if I needed to. Meet the neighbors. In full disclosure, I don't typically do that. I always make sure that my husband knows where I am, and if he's out of town, I will not hold a house open. I also do have my Apple Watch where I can easily call 911. There's a lot of different things out there for you to help with this. So do some research or talk to your coach. Never turn your back on a prospect. For this one, that one's fabulous. I also will add to that and say I always try to be between myself or between the door and the people. Okay, so for example, I'm never walking down the stairs first, and I'm never walking up the stairs first. Unless, okay, if I'm going upstairs, I let them walk upstairs first. I'm following them up. But then I'm always coming down those stairs first so that, again, I'm closest to the door. So maybe when I think they're almost done looking upstairs, I'll go ahead and come down to the main level. So, and then reverse that. If they're going downstairs, they're walking down the stairs first. And then again, when I feel like they're almost done downstairs, I'm going to go ahead and come upstairs first. Okay. So I'm always between them and the door, so that if they're making me uncomfortable, if I think something's going to happen, I have the ability to get out of the house first. So, and then establishing an escape route, which is kind of what I just talked about. Again, letting somebody know where you are and making sure that your phone is charged. For the ladies, never take your purse into the open house. I always have my keys in one pocket and my phone in the other pocket so that I don't have to worry about if I have to leave. I don't then have to try to find my purse, grab my purse. It's already in my car, and I have everything that I need just to be able to leave if there's a situation where I'm uncomfortable. Okay, so I also have a taser that I keep in my open house box. If I'm there alone, meaning I don't have any other agents there with me, I will typically have the taser with me. It is a flashlight as well, but absolutely when I first get there and I'm walking around opening the house and turning on all the lights, I'm going to have it with me. And then when I leave and I'm closing everything up, I'm going to have it with me, because if it's a busy open house, you may not be able to keep track of how many people arrive and how many people leave. And somebody could hide in a closet, wait for you to be done, and then, attempt to either take you or do something to you. So I don't mean to make this sound scary, but it is something that you absolutely have to think of. Okay, so now we are to the most important part, which is the follow-up. So again, it's the thing I talk about pretty much last. I don't spend a lot of time on it, but it is one of the most important things. Okay, so I have a system in place. Again, I'm a very systematic person, so I have a system in place that I'm going to share with you guys now. My system for follow-up starts on the Monday following the open house. That is the day that I start reaching out to people, and it all is going to depend on what information that they have given me. So if they filled out my questionnaire and given me everything, their name, phone number, address, and email address, I'm going to absolutely 100% send them a handwritten card thanking them for coming, and then putting some personal information in there that I learned during the open house. I will also include some of my business cards in there. If they've told me that they already have an agent, I'm going to reach out to the agent instead and let them know that they came by the open house and my feelings on how much they liked or didn't like the house. Okay, going back to the person, again, if they've given me all their information, besides the handwritten note card, they're also going to get either a phone call, a text message, or an email from me. Kind of just depends on how much I have going on. Preferably phone call, and I'm just going to follow up and I'm going to thank them for coming, tell them it was great meeting them, and wish them a great week. Sometimes I will do a video message instead of sending them a call, and I will just text the video to them. Again, it kind of just depends on what all I have going on that Monday. My next follow-up is going to be Thursday and or Friday of the same week. So if I have called them, then at the beginning of the week, I may call them again. I may send them a text, or I might send them an email. One of those three I'm going to do again, though. So whichever method you prefer, and preferably you're trying to find a method that they will respond to you with. So if they answered my phone call, I'll probably call them again. If they didn't answer my phone call, I might try texting them this time. This particular communication is going to be more around the upcoming weekend. So I may say something like, just reintroducing myself again. We met at the open house last weekend. Was checking to see if there were any homes that you saw come on the market this week that you might be interested in taking a look at that might not have open houses. I'm scheduling my showings for the weekend and would like to try to fit you in if there's anything you would like to see. So that would be a roundabout version of my verbiage for that communication. Then my next communication is going to be the Tuesday following, so essentially 10 days out. I'm going to resend them a handwritten card, and then I am going to reach out to them again. So if I've had luck with them answering, I'm going to call again. If I haven't, then I might try the third method. If I only have one of those methods, I'm obviously going to be using that method. Okay, so you kind of just have to adapt that to how much information that you have from the person. Okay, I'm going to follow up with them, see how their weekend went. And obviously that's going to be based on if I showed them houses, then they're probably not going to get that follow-up on Tuesday, because hopefully I've built the relationship and we're communicating regularly at that point in time. So again, there's a lot of ebb and flow in this. At that point in time, if they're not already in my database, they're going to be added into my database as a contact into Command. I'm going to set a reminder to call them next month, and I'm going to enroll them in 1 or 2 SMART plans. They are absolutely at a minimum going to be enrolled in a Neighborhood Nurture SMART plan. If I don't have their mailing address, I can use the address of the property that I held open, because I know they're probably interested in that particular neighborhood. And then there are some other open house follow-up SMART plans you can look at, or you can create your own. But they should be getting communication from you on a regular basis. Again, a lot of people, you've spent time on this open house, you've worked the week to find one, to market it, then you spent the time holding it open. And this is where a lot of agents fall short, is they don't follow up. And it's a waste of your time to do all of that work and hold the house open if you're not going to follow up with these people. I've had a large number of clients that I met at open houses. I used that process to follow up with them. I kept in touch with them. I wasn't pushy, and 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, maybe even a year or year and a half down the road, they reach out to me. They haven't responded to anything that I've sent them up to that point, but they reach out and say, hey, you were great. You haven't been pushy. You've still been giving me items of value. I'd love for you to help me buy a house, or I'd love for you to help me sell and buy a house. Okay, I've had a lot of instances where I can remember that happening. So please, please, please make sure you're not wasting your time, and have a system, no matter what it is. Doesn't have to be like mine, but you need to have a system of follow-up. Okay, so a couple of additional things before I sign off here. Some other things that you can do to stand out. You can have somebody come with you. So maybe you have a lender, partner, a home inspector, an insurance agent, whatever it may be. There's a lot of different people that you could utilize for this. My biggest recommendation on this is to make sure that person who's coming with you has a social media presence. If they don't, and they're not helping you get more traffic to the open house, it's still great that they're there, but really the goal is to get more traffic. So utilize somebody that's going to help you market it and has that audience to be able to do that. Then they have offer a gift. So this is an international slideshow. Here in Missouri, you can offer gifts, but if you're going to offer a gift, you have to give it to every single person. You cannot do what we call raffles. So let's say if you are wanting to do something where you're going to advertise, hey, come to the open house, enter your name into a raffle to win this prize. That is not something that you can do in Missouri. The Missouri rules and regulations say that if you are getting something to increase your business, or if you're asking for somebody's information, you have to give the same prize or gift to every single person. So you cannot do raffles. So if you have more questions about that, please talk to your coach and or David Bryan, our broker, to ask the questions before you actually do that, because you will see people doing it all of the time. Just because you see people doing it, even if they're big teams, does not mean that it is legal or the right thing to do. So please be very careful with that. Now, if you have a speaker and they're giving away that prize, that's a completely different thing. You still can't advertise it for them, but they can give a prize away. Okay, get the house in showing shape. Obviously, if it's not your listing, you don't have a lot of control over that, but you can definitely talk to the agent. And then going live, so doing videos. Even if it's not a live video, doing a Facebook video during the open house is fabulous. Going live is even better. You get higher ratings from Facebook and higher prioritization. I can't say that word apparently, on your post. So going live is great. For me, I am not a big completely walking all the way around the house with them for a live video. I want to give them a little bit of a teaser, and then I want to encourage them to come in and see the rest of the house. And with that, you need to do it immediately at the beginning of the open house, or you come early and you do it right before the open house starts. Okay, and then I've kind of talked about this. One thing I haven't mentioned yet is if you plan on bringing food or drinks or anything like that to an open house, that's absolutely your decision. Just make sure that it's not a messy meal, because you're going to want to have the house back in the shape that it was when you got there. So I wouldn't suggest having something that's going to make a mess if a kid has it and they're walking around the house. Okay, and then this is just a success kit. So some different things that they're suggesting to have with you, not only on the day of an open house, but I would say you would want to have with you all the time. I keep these things in my car 24/7. So disinfecting wipes, toilet paper, paper towels, extra pins, air fresheners. I have a candle too. I have soap, extra business cards, backup battery, measuring tape, trash bags, tissues. I also have a little kit that's got a tape measure and a screwdriver and a hammer. Certain times of the year, I have different shoes in my car in case I'm going somewhere that's muddy. During the winter months, if I'm going to an open house, I take my slippers with me, because 9 times out of 10 at the open house, they do ask you to remove your shoes. That way my feet aren't freezing by the time I leave. There's a ton of other things that I can think of that you would want to include, but this is the primary ones. Okay, so I hope you got a lot of information from that. Please reach out to me again to get the information on the signs. I will draw a diagram of how I put my signs out, and that is how you can get credit for watching this video. And you never know, I might ask you some little quiz questions as well, just to make sure that you watch till the very end. All right, thank you so much for tuning in. Good luck on your next great open house.